Hello and welcome to another episode of Skinterviews by Nathan and George. I'm the George of the equation, and we are in season 2, and it is well underway. I think we're almost halfway done now. So this guy over here, this one right there.
I'm the Nathan of the equation.
You're the Nathan of the equation. The George plus Nathan equals Skinterviews. We've got Skinterviews by Nathan George, which is our video cast. But if you can't watch, you can also listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Stitcher. And now we've launched Skinterviews on location. By now, you've seen the first episode. If you haven't, where do you got to go? Instagram at skin.terviews or Facebook and LinkedIn, Skinterviews by Nathan and George. Of course, you can catch all our episodes, whether you want to watch them or listen to them, by heading over to therevenuedoctors.com. Right, Nathan?
You're getting good at this, George.
I know. You think by season 6, I'm going to have it down pat.
You should do this for a living.
I think we kind of are, Nathan. Newsflash. When we started this, we didn't think we would. But here we are. And the reason we're doing it for a living is because season 2 is proudly brought to you by Fullscript. I was going to say by Skinterviews. No, Fullscript brought Skinterviews to you. We brought Skinterviews to you. You get the whole thing. And Fullscript is the ultimate platform for those who want to do wellness the right way, the personal way. It has the industry's most comprehensive catalog of over 300 plus professional products, making safe supplements more accessible and affordable, and making personalized treatment plans possible from the doctor to the patient. I say this every episode. No more guessing on your supplementation. Go to your doctor and ask them to help you pick what's right for you based on your lifestyle and any other medications you can take. And for my doctor friends that are listening that are on Fullscript, because those that are not need to get on it, you can actually order wholesale products directly from Fullscript now. Visit them at fullscript.com. Boom. Wow. Look at me. Season 6, I'm going to be perfect.
You're hot tonight.
Listen, Nathan, I'm always hot. But Nathan, I always say you're a little bit taller, you got the accent, you got a lot going for you, buddy. Us shorter, chubby guys, we got a lot to work. we got a lot of work to put in here.
Oh my God.
I want to be so hot that I look like I was sculpted by our next doctor.
100%.
Like, I don't know if I want to talk to him about his professional life or his artistic life. And I think they're both one and the same, which we're going to find out about all today. But we're going to learn about all his art and his sculpting and how much he loves to travel and how much he loves good restaurants. But this guy's a bit of a badass.
I would like to sum him up as a bit of a smooth criminal.
Smooth criminal. I like that. Smooth criminal badass. He's unique. He's very unique. He's special. And I'm going to read directly from his bio because I don't want to miss anything out because he's that special. Dr. Kevin Sadati, who we have on the show today, is a board-certified facial plastic surgeon in Newport Beach, California, whose practice is primarily focused on facial rejuvenation. He has performed not 100, not 1,000, over 4,000 face and neck lift procedures using his self-developed facial muscle tightening technique. His technique has been published in the American Journal of Cosmetic Surgery and Plastic and Reconstructive Surgery journals. He's honored to have presented his technique at multiple national plastic surgery meetings. And along with the years of studying and training in aesthetic surgery, he has also studied painting and sculpting. Probably that's why he's so good at surgery, which embodies his artistic eye for aesthetic harmony. He believes that this is the key to creating beautiful, natural-looking results in cosmetic surgery. His patients have voted him best cosmetic surgeon in Orange County by the OC Register poll 5 years in a row. Beat that, wow. And you even got 1 year voted as best host.
I want to be sculpted by this guy.
No, Nathan, remember, I'm the one that gets sculpted. You're already tall and pretty with an accent. He's appeared on a whole bunch of popular TV shows, including The Doctors, but the most popular show he will be on in his entire life is Skinterviews by Nathan and George. So please welcome, without further ado, the one, the only, Dr. Kevin Sadati. Hey, hey, hey!
Hey!
Hey, look at you guys. Looking good, handsome. How are you guys?
When you say handsome, you're talking to me, right?
You take very quickly.
Nathan and I are constantly competing, and after the stuff I've seen that you do, I mean,
Wow.
where do you want to start? Lifting this way, lifting that way. You do body as well, or is that just to tease all the artwork you do?
Thank you. You look good. You guys looking good.
We're trying. We're trying to match up to the aesthetic of our doctors. How you been?
I'm doing great. I mean, work is good. Quite busy despite the pandemic going on. The unfortunate situation going all over the world, but work is good. I can't complain in that department, and we're busy and busier than I would say ever.
I love that. That's what we want to hear. Our industry is strong. Patients are still seeking out to look and feel their best and improve their quality of life. What more could we ask for? You've got quite an interesting story, and I can't wait to get right into the interview and find out about everything that led you to this night. And I know you've already had a busy night. You were doing an Instagram live, right, today?
Yeah, right before. So my days are pretty jam-packed, and so I want to do 2 interviews back to back, so I can go right.
And I like
whether business is at home.
I like how you saved the best for last.
That's right. Because I didn't want to do it the other way around.
Of course.
This to be fun.
Yes. For our viewers that are watching, please go onto your Instagram right now and follow our doctor at Dr. Kevin Sadati. Of course, you can also go to galleryofcosmeticsurgery.com or drkevinsadati.com to learn more. But in the meantime, forget about what he does professionally. Let's learn all about this magnanimous man. Yes?
Of course, let's do it.
All right, we're going to go all the way back to day 0. You enter this world, you take your first breath, and your parents decide to name you. Was it always Kevin Sadati? Is there any meaning to your name? Is there a middle name?
No, it was not Kevin. It was Kayvon. It's a Persian name for flag of victory that from 3,000 years ago. So started with that. No middle name. I'm from Iran. We normally don't have middle names. So we have first name and last name. And something interesting. Women in Iran, they keep their own last name. They don't change it after they get married. So my mom has a different last name than us. So that's how it works. So
you are the flag of
victory. Yes.
I mean, you're waving that around right now in the industry. Like, watching you.
Guess what my last name means? It means lucky.
Oh,
the flag of victory from the lucky man himself. I'm loving this. This is one of the good ones, Nathan. We got to write this down.
Yeah, we had some good ones last season, but this could compete with them.
Do you have any siblings?
Oh yeah, I have 8 brothers and sisters, and I'm one to the last. Wow. Right.
That's a big family.
Yeah, I grew up in a big family. My father came from a farmer's background. They were farmers. Actually, his family were only 4. I don't know. He liked big family, and I don't know what it was in his head because I have 2 kids, and I'm like, that's a lot of work. So I grew up in a big family, and I was one to the last. And I think I was the best. The favorite one.
So were you mom and dad's favorite growing up then?
I don't know about my dad. I never got a feeling that he felt that way, but I was definitely my mom's favorite, for sure.
And how about now as an adult? I mean, or as adults, other than when you grew up like into an adult, were you always the favorite? Or did it change?
No, my sisters still, my brother and sisters always tell me, Mom She lives in Iran, so I call her once a week, and my brother and sisters who live there, and said, "Boy, she never mentions us. She always asking, how's he doing?" I'm like, okay, we're here too. Give us some attention too.
I love it. I love it. So, with such a big family, what was something that you remember growing up doing as a family that like brings back happy memories for you?
Well, the gathering. I mean, my dad came from a farmer's background, and we were living in Tehran, which is a big metropolitan city, and I remember going in. He had like a garden and with orchards, like different trees of fruit trees and grapes, all kinds of huge, like over 35 acres of land. So, and little house. We used to go on weekends, the whole family, cook dinner, hang out in the garden in the summertime. It was so much fun. We had the swimming pool. So, I mean, when you have a big family, there are a lot of feuds going on between brothers and sisters, but there are a lot of good times too.
Yeah, so this intrigues me. How do birthdays work when you have 8 brothers or sisters? Like, are you allowed to invite anyone else over, or how did it work?
It was an interesting situation. So we used to have like the birthday parties. So we were a different range of ages. Obviously, my teenage brother was 10 years older than me. I mean, I was like 7, he was 17. He didn't want to have any business with me. He has his own world. So there are different age ranges. So with my younger brother and my sisters, we had close friends that we hung out. And then the older brother and sister, they had their own agenda.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It is crazy. So growing up, what's something that you remember today that your parents taught you?
Well, I think from my mom, I learned honesty, and from my dad was hardworking and persistence and loyalty. So there are things that always stick with you, and when I have my patients or my staff, those are the quality of people I look for, because this is something that is going to resonate with my own personality. I try to be pretty upfront with people, whether they're my patients or my staff or people who work around me or friends. Uh, I don't like deception. I'm who I am, and I like that kind of thing. So they can see you straightforward. There's no hidden agenda, and obviously hardworking. That came from my dad, and that kind of mentality. And it's rewarding. So when you hard work smart, it always pays off.
How many years have you been in the U.S. now?
So I tell you back a little bit. When I was 23-year-old when I came to the United States, and I spoke very little English when I came here.
Okay.
So the story goes back. So my life has been a little roller coaster. So when I was in high school in Iran, I was very good at math. I was like math genius almost, I would say. So I was pretty good. I had my mind and set and life to be electrical engineer, and I would have ended up to be in like Google or something if I stuck with it. So what happened here, I was last year of high school in 1979, a year before. I graduated in 1980. The revolution happened, and it was chaos. The schools were closing and so forth. And after revolution, a year later, this like very anticlimactic graduation. Imagine like graduating during the COVID. It's like so like nothing going on. There's no celebration. So kind of I finished that, and guess what happened? The war started. I'm like, what the heck now? What am I going to do with this? So, and then I was eligible for draft because when you're 18, like, some countries, you automatically have to go to military, like Iran. I think Israel is the same thing. Some countries, it's not like voluntarily like the United States. So, and I'm like, ooh, I don't think I want to be involved in this one. So I sat around for a year and I worked for my dad. I was making pretty good money for him and for myself. I had a great time. And so finally I got drafted. And they got me on the street and said, what are you doing here? How old are you? I was 19. He goes, you come here, buddy. Oh, no. So I had to take me and to training for military. And so kind of they figure out I have a little bit more knowledge and a little smarter than average Joe. So they put me in, become a medic. Even I had zero knowledge of biology. So in Iran, and not like here, you pick your major when you're in high school. So I was math major in high school. So I was taking calculus in high school. So physics, calculus, chemistry, like this level of college. So I had no biology understanding of any of that business. So they pushed me to become a medic. So they took me for training for 3 months. And after that, I said, sir, here you are in the front line. Take care of the business. Wow. I'm like, what? So that was shocking. And it just like call you and say, okay, this guy just got, shot in the shoulder. And I'm like panicking. I'm like, what the hell? I'm supposed to do this. So you learn very quickly.
That's a real sink or swim.
In 3 months of training compared to what I went to medical school and residency, or like you barely can put an IV in with shaking. And imagine in the middle of like, bomb is coming and you try to put an IV in somebody. It's just like a whole different experience. And also you see some of your friends get injured. It's kind of emotional for a 19-year-old to see all that stuff. It was like, but you know what? It just changed my life because I said, you know what? I'm doing this. I better learn how to do it. And I picked up a lot of books and I read different books. There was no YouTube back then, obviously, you know that. I had to do it all manually. So I got a lot of books and I read about traumas and how to save people's life, and it really started educating myself, and I really liked it. I'm like, wow, I never understood that how much, goes to body and human anatomy and what you can do with it. So I created my own little mini hospital that my commander, it was a huge place. So I had my friends, I had a lot of friends. So I had a good friends. I made a lot of friends there. So they helped me to build a huge, because it was in southern part of Iran, it was 140 degrees Fahrenheit. You know how hot that is? Yeah. I went from Tehran, where it's like Colorado. It's like snow in winter time, and summer is hot, but it's not like 140. Summer gets to 80, 90 degrees. But there was like hot. So, I helped my friends to build something, bunker for me. It was cool and huge. We used to party, and it was like a mini hospital for me. So I became very interested. So from then on, I said, you know what? I don't think I want to be an engineer. I want to be a medical.
But how long were you there for before you
18 months.
Wow. And then
6 months of training, 18 months of frontline. But okay, go ahead.
So I want to know, you were there for 6 months of training, 18 months of frontline. It ends. When did you decide to go to med school next? Was it like...
Okay, well, the universities in Iran were closed because of all the war. They didn't want it to be open so they can recruit all the young people to go to the war. So they kept all the universities closed, and I came out and I'm like, okay, I want to go. I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
So, and that was going to the military. It was this way that you can get your passport. Otherwise, they don't let you out of the country because you're obligated to do your services, right?
Yeah.
You can't drive. They take your driver's license away. They take your passport. So basically, you have no identity. So once I got all that, going through all that trauma, seeing all that stuff, which, I passed through it. I was just like, I tried to make best of it. And I learned so much, and I just came out and said, you know what? I'm going to build on this and make my career in medical profession. So I came out, all the undergrad schools were closed, and I said, you know what? I'm going to get out of this country. I got my passport. My dad didn't want me to get out. My dad was in his business, he's like a dairy distribution and farming. He wanted me to run his business, and it was profitable. I tell you, it was. If I stuck with it would have been great because I used to make a lot of money for him and myself. I was like, had my own Ninja and my car at 18, so I was making good money. But my dad wanted me to stick with it, but I'm like, you know what? I don't like this. I just like a sales kind of things and dealing with that. It's not my personality. And he goes, "You're so good at this. Why don't you stick with it?" I'm like, Dad, I don't want it. He goes, "Well, if you leave, you're not going to get any money from me. You're going to be back here in a month, and you're going to get back to work and work for me." I'm like, "We'll see, buddy." So basically, I took care of all the business. I didn't have any guy, I just did a little research how to do. Got my passport. I went to Germany because my brother studied in Germany, my older brother. And I wanted to follow his footsteps. But by then he was married to a French girl and moved to France. And so I went to Germany, to Berlin. Back then was like East and West Berlin was like the colonists and that. So there was a wall. So I went to Berlin. I was there for 3 months, started studying German language. And I'm like, I don't think I like it here much. Because, it is like, it's just the personality and the whole thing, the atmosphere, it just didn't click with me. And I didn't see myself succeed. And I said, you know what? I'm going to get out of here and try to find elsewhere that I can succeed. So I knew United States was just the place that is a dream place. And it is true if you open your eyes and your ears, and there's so much opportunity in this country that's amazing. Despite all this political stuff that's going on here, but the root of the country, I'm sure the Canada the same way, where you guys are from, right?
Yeah. Well,
where are you from?
No. We're from Canada. Listen, I think every country's got their political drama.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is the opportunities are tremendous in United States, where in Europe, for somebody coming from another country and trying to succeed is rather limited. And there's always like a glass ceiling that you don't see it, but you bump your head to it all the time. So that's how I felt in Germany. I felt that there are limits that you can get out there. But United States, I felt that sky is limitless, and I'm the limit.
Did you know somebody in the United States?
I knew a relative in United States, so I asked him to get me student visa, and they did. So they got me student visa. They got me basically a form from a university to study English, not just going to university, because I didn't go to college. I just wanted to go to college. So it was in Northern California, Hayward University. By the way, my English was so bad that I went to San Francisco airport and there was an African American man sitting at the passport and looked at my passport and he has a student visa on it. He goes, "Hey man, where are you going?" I'm like, "I'm going to Harvard." He goes, "You're going to damn airport, man." And he goes, "It's not Harvard, it's Hayward." Anyhow, so it was funny. So anyhow, I got there and that relative was nice. I stayed with them for a month and I moved on my own. So I got a little apartment and he gave me a job too. I was working in a restaurant and basic. So I remember it was my first day. The day after I arrived, I went to work. Wow. He said, "You got to come to work if you want to make money." I'm like, "Okay." But I had jet lag. So I was in the middle of a restaurant. I went in a corner and I fell asleep. And they thought there was something seriously wrong with me. Because I had jet lag, like literally the next day. So anyhow, I worked there and I went to learn the language. I went to ASL, second language. So English as a second language. So went to school in the morning and at night I was working in that restaurant. Wow. And I did that for a couple of years and then I went to what is called lower level of colleges here. They're called community colleges.
Yeah.
So I got accepted to community college and I started my basic learning of combining my English language with the science. Obviously, the math and stuff I was eating as a live because I was so good at it. So for me, that was the easy part. Yeah. But understanding, I had to have a dictionary next to me and just reading like what the equation means. And then, oh, okay, that's what it is. So that was kind of learning. So that was kind of tough in the beginning. So I went through that. Then it was very interesting because I met a lot of people during that time that helped me to step for me to get further in my life. I met some great professors that helped me. There was one professor I remember, two. One was great with me. The other one was prejudiced and didn't want me to succeed when I was in community college. At Alameda Community College. One of them was an old white guy, my chemistry professor, and he told me right off the bat, he goes, "I will not let you get A in this class. The foreigners like you, they don't deserve to get A." Wow. And I had another professor of math of mine. He loved me because my math was good and I was helping other students with their math and calculus. And I was like his sidekick, helping like other kids to learn. So he liked me. He was African American. He was PhD from University of California, Berkeley, and so it was. He helped me a lot to get over those kind of difficulties, and I'll never forget him. How much he helped me to have a support in a place that I had no one. Like he was so kind to help me because the other gentleman, I would get A's in written and Dr. Carr, his name was. And then when it came to chemistry for the lab, he would give me a C. So I'm like, "Why the hell are you giving me a C? I know all that stuff." He goes, "You're not going to get A." That's how it works here.
Well, I like making good people famous if I could. And, you know, if 1 in a million, somebody of that one African-American teacher's family is watching, let's mention his name on the show. What was his name? Do you remember?
Yes, Michael Payne. Professor Michael Payne. He was the kindest, and he is still. He's older now. He was a sweetheart, honestly. He gave all he could the smartest guy. You can't be a PhD coming out of Berkeley with mathematics and not be smart. He was that, but he came to community college and took care of people like me and taught us how to be good. And he helped me to get to Berkeley also. So
Wow.
he's that good. So people like him, even they're not recognized like on a national level, but they do things that create people like me. Because I owe my career and the path that he paid for me to go through to get where I am, I think I owe it a lot to him too. And the person who let me come to the United States stayed in their house for a month, because if they didn't, I had nowhere to stay.
That's an amazing story. Wow. Wait.
Wow.
So how did you meet your wife then? Like, and at what age? Like,
My wife, that
Yeah.
came, my friend, a century later. So it's a lot in between.
oh wow. Because I want to go into a section now where we talk a little bit about your family. So I'm going to bring up a couple of photos here of your family. So talk us through these photos here. Can you see them?
Yeah, that's the one on the left side on my screen is in Italy, which is my favorite place in the world. I just love it. I mean, people think I'm Italian because I love Italian people, their food, their drink, the wine, their style, clothing, shoes, cars. I mean, you name it. So this is in Florence, Italy, and that's one of my favorite places to go.
Awesome. And so, speaking of your family and your wife, who's the boss at home? Who wears the pants at home?
Well, at home, obviously, my wife is the boss, obviously, but she's an amazing woman. I tell you. You think my story is good? You got to interview her. She is a different level of success.
Wow.
So she came to the United States after graduating from Iran. She's younger than me a little bit. To University of Tehran, graduated and came here and went to National Institute of Health, and she got she double PhD.
Wow.
And she worked there for 10 years. She did research, and then she developed her own drug. And now she has her own pharmaceutical company that developed autoimmune, and they're doing clinical research. So she's a different animal altogether.
Wow, you guys are a power couple. Wow.
Yeah, she's a different level. She's the CEO of a pharmaceutical company, which is way larger than mine. What I do here, dealing with international businesses and all that. So we all grew. We kind of developed our businesses at the same time in 2010. Actually, we kind of started from ground up to take it to the different level.
Wow. So when you first met your wife, was it love at first sight, or did you grow on it?
Yeah, you know how it is, how it happens. So both of us are, we like art. She's an amazing painter, an artist. So we had a common friend. She was in Washington, D.C. doing for National Institute of Health in Washington, D.C. And I was doing residency in Philadelphia. And I was into painting and learning art by going to art classes and taking my skills notch up. And one of my friends who was doing research, was a resident doing research at NIH, he told me there's a girl, she's beautiful and she's artist. You gotta meet this girl. I'm like, man, I'm busy. I just who wants to go to Washington D.C.? There's so many girls in Philadelphia that are hanging around. I'm like, I'm having a good time here. Why the hell I want to do that? He goes, no, this girl is very special. I said, okay. he passed her phone numbers and said, give her a call and just like talk to her. And then, I gave her a call and obviously he gives her a heads up and he talked over the phone back and forth for a few months. And then, obviously there was no, FaceTime and all that stuff back then, but there was AOL. You got mail. So we got to know each other over the phone, and also there was a Philadelphia Art Museum. They had Degas exhibition, and that was a Sunday, the last Sunday before end of the exhibition. And I reached out to her and said, listen, we've been talking for 4 months. I'd like to see you in person. Why don't you come here for a lunch date? I'll take you for lunch, and also we'll go to the Degas Museum because she loves Degas. Right. And on me, just all you have to do, take a train and come here. So she took a train, came to Philly, took her to Rittenhouse Square, it's a pretty cool area, they have good restaurants. And then after that, we went to art museum. Oh, it was fun, man. She is so knowledgeable of the Degas and the history of it, and she enjoyed it. We enjoyed it so much, and then I dropped her off at just the train station. It's just a block away from art museum, and she got on, and I saw her, and I'm like, wow, that's beautiful mind and beautiful all around, and so intelligent, and I think it just knocked me out of my shoe.
I love that. I love it. So, I mean, I have so many questions. There's so many things that are going through my head, like so quickly. You started off, drafted as a young 18-year-old, thrown into a situation where you're learning all about trauma and recovery very rapidly in a sink or swim. You end up, Germany, then the US. In the US, you tried to learn English. You got your English stuff. You ended up going to community college, which led you to become a doctor in med school. Where did plastics come out of all this?
So it was the evolution of my life. So what I do, I keep my mind open in my life, and I see what is it that fits me. So when I went to, obviously after undergrad, I went to medical school, and back then was ER show was on. Remember that ER show? Yeah. And man, everybody in my class, the top guys, they all wanted to be ER doctor. I'm like, dude, I've done that. It's not that fun. There's all the stress, no fun. It looks good, but it's not like, in reality, it's like so much stress. Yeah. And I said, okay, you guys can be ER. I'm going to look for something else. So what I did, I explored, and I just didn't want to be like narrow-minded. So, okay, I did like war. I'm going to be a hero again. I said, you know what? I want to find something that fits my personality and something that I want to enjoy without being like coming home and grungy and just being in a bad mood. So I didn't close any doors. I explored. I knew right off the bat, I don't want to do ER, and I didn't want to be OB-GYN because I saw those guys' lifestyle. And I'm like, whoa. Like in the middle of night, like 12 midnight, you're putting your head down. It's just like, hey, come. I'm like, that's not going to be me. Or general surgery. I did general surgery. I explored all that. I like surgery. Initially, I wanted to be cardiac surgeon. But again, I went through it and I saw their lifestyle and the patient demographic. I mean, I admire all the surgeons, all the doctors, but again, it has to fit your personality in order to succeed and in order for you to enjoy. The bottom line is there are many careers, many paths, but I kept my eyes open. And the first thing I saw, I liked two things. One was, first, I didn't have plastic surgery on my radar. So it was ENT and urology. And then I said, you know what? ENT is more intriguing, it's more anatomical, and it's more detail-oriented and very complex. And I decided to go to ear, nose, and throat surgery, and I chose that pathway. And then when I got in there, I'm like, and I got exposed to facial plastic, and I got into it, and I'm like, wow, just like, yeah, you can do head and neck cancer, do throat surgery, do ear surgery, detail under microscope. But the plastic aspect of it just intrigued me more and more because it also synchronized with my artistic ability and understanding. And I said, well, you know what? This is something that I can get paid and feel like I'm not working. Because I don't feel I'm coming to work and I'm working. Honestly, I just feel like I'm doing some sculpting on people and they're gladly paying me to do it. And I look at the result and I enjoy it. And when I see the joy on their face, I'm just like, makes me happy. So, and I set my foot that I'm going to do this. So I weird myself. You know, I mean, it's not that easy as it says because it's very competitive. So you have to create pathways and create opportunities for yourself because opportunities are out there, but you have to create it for yourself. It's not something that is like fall in your lap. So, you know, I had a lot of disadvantage compared to people who grew up here or the parents were like doctors. I had a lot of friends whose parents were doctors. They went to private high school here and all kind of backup and, you know, guidance. I had zero. Honestly, I was just like blind, just walking. I'm just like, okay, what's the opportunity for me here? What do I like? And I didn't think of what others doing out there. I just look at, okay, you know, when you start focusing on other people, you're distracted and you lose your own pathway. You fall in a ditch. So I, you know, I just stayed like, okay, I'm just going to find my way, what I like to do. And I don't care what's happening, what people think or what they say, whether I can do it or not can do it. So that way I stayed on my own pathway to pursue facial plastic. And that's how I got into it. Now that helped me to combine, as I said, the aesthetic part of my abilities with medicine and create a unique feature that I like to present for my patient.
Were you sculpting? I mean, we have some pictures of the doctor's art, right, Nathan? Can we bring them up? I mean, this is your work. This is...
Yeah, those are my painting, and that painting is right here. If you can see it up here, I put it in my office. Can we tilt it up a little bit? Yeah.
So that's it there.
That's my self-portrait. I used to be in a better shape, my friend. That's sculpted body. When I was in residency. So
I used to be in better shape too, so I understand. Don't worry.
Yeah. So anyhow, so that's a self-portrait. So
the sculptures, though, are those yours as well?
Yeah, the one that sculpture is mine, not this one. This is Richard McDonald, one of the famous sculptor in the United States. You know, the Olympic sculptor that this guy, Richard McDonald, he sculpted that. And he's in Laguna Beach. They have a exhibition. And throughout my office, I have a lot of his sculpture. Because they're very anatomically, look at that.
They're
beautiful. Look at them, this anatomical detail that he incorporates. And this is called a leap of faith because you're blinded. You come to this world, on this cube, which has 6 different faces here, and you're unknown to this world. And you come in, and this is the past. This is the present, and this is the future.
Wow.
And you're all balancing life in one foot.
I love
and it's lovely. So Yeah, so I do my own sculpting and painting. Obviously, I don't do it as much as I used to because life is busy,
Yeah.
and my wife created a studio in our house. She's very active. She does like quite a bit of painting. She's very disciplined, I would say. She sets the time for her reading and set aside for her painting. She like once a month, like something pops out, like, oh my God, when did you do that? Dude, you're the CEO of a company. You take care of this kid. She knows where their school, where they are, who their teachers are, and who's this, who's that, what they ate for lunch. They like their lunch. They didn't like their lunch, and she paints them. I'm like, how the hell do you do all this stuff? I don't know. Man.
Discipline.
Discipline. Yeah, different discipline altogether. Anyhow, so yeah, I do some, but it's not as much as I used to do before because weekends I do biking and I like to go run, 4 or 5 hours of road bike or mountain bike, exercising, go to the beach. Yeah, so but I do painting on some winter time. That's where I do most of my artwork. When it's like
You're very active. I love it.
oh yeah, it's a part of my life. I get up 5 a.m. I turn one of my garage to complete GM with all kind of weight and Peloton, Stairmasters, rowing machine. Hey,
Peloton.
I need to get your username after this so we can.
All right, buddy, you got it
on the Peloton.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and go ahead.
I want to talk about your work because I know Nathan's dying to get into the business portion because you've got some massive achievements here, which we want to learn about. But your story is it's incredible. I mean, it's determination is like the key word that comes to mind. So I want to know if I were to make a movie of your life, which actor would you choose to play you?
Come on, man. Robert De Niro.
All right. And who would play your wife?
Ooh. Oh. That one, who would be my wife? Would be Madonna. It's not an actress, but as a person, yeah.
She's pretty cool.
Madonna.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the industry we're in, the medical aesthetics, cosmetic surgery industry. In your opinion, what makes our industry so great?
Now, our industry is great in a way that it gives people their youth back because it's all about gaining your youth back. The way I look at it, I'm not here to change people's facial features or anatomy to something, although some people do it, but my goal is not to change people's face to something that they are not. That's when you run to people looking weird. They say, oh my God, facelift. Oh no, I saw this actor, it's looking weird. I'm like, facelift is not to change faces, it's to make a face youthful. So there's a perception problem here that a lot of people used to have for plastic surgery, especially facial plastic. So that's why I want to redefine what it means to have a facelift, what it means to have a youthful face. Facial plastic doesn't mean your face has to change in a way, it has to improve. As I tell people, I'm not here to make you a Barbie doll or a movie star here. I'm here to make you a youthful version of you. That's it.
Right. Being someone then you've like with your unique technique of your facelift, which has been published and has been taught all around the world at this point, what do you believe the next big, and it could be something created by you or someone else, innovation is going to be? What is going to be the advancement?
I think the next generation of surgeries are going to be more of a devices, more of a non-invasive, and over the past 5 years, I see like huge changes in the way we think
Right.
of how things are going to happen with the advance of technology. And obviously, you can see it on your own cell phone that from 5 years ago to now, it's like a huge change. The same thing with medical technology. So the same computing process, it can happen to the devices that we use, like such as radio frequency and newer lasers are coming out that are going to eliminate a lot of needs or to prevent needs for surgery at early stages. So I think there's always going to be needs for surgery, but I think with the advance in technology, is going to be more delayed process and more preventive measures that are going to be introduced by this newer innovative technology.
And if you could perform one type of surgery every day for the rest of your life, would it be, I don't know, rhinoplasty? Would it be facelifts? Would it be
Facelift, no question.
100%, huh?
That's what I do. I do the number of facelifts I do is, I tell some of my colleagues, it blows their mind away. They think, I do roughly about 25 to 30 facelifts a month. Some people don't do it in their entire career.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Can you repeat? Can you repeat those numbers again?
25 to 30 facelifts a month.
Wow. That's some serious.
Well, listen. I want a facelift.
No, you don't need a facelift, my friend. You need a haircut.
A haircut. That's it. You got me there. If I ever need one, I should say not if. When I need one, I mean, you're gonna have to open up that schedule for me. That's amazing. That's amazing.
My friend, by the time you need a facelift, I'll be walking with a walker and stuff like that. You don't want me to be your surgeon. I'm too old then.
I'd still probably pick you with all that experience. I mean, you could sit there with a walker back there and tell them what to do.
Hey, you're doing that wrong. Just do it the other way.
You said something earlier that I really want to ask about because, and I usually don't ever get into things like politics or what's going on in the world, but I love your description because it resonates with my family. My parents came from, I'm of Greek descent, and my dad came to the U.S. and he had a very similar story. He was exceptionally smart in mathematics. At a genius level, he would say, if he was still around himself, and he wanted to be a professor at the university. But he went to learn at the Boston, Massachusetts, at the University of Massachusetts, and he had a teacher that kept failing him because of his English. And he did the same thing as you. Went and lived with a restaurant. Went and lived with a relative, worked in a restaurant, and it's beautiful to hear how at that time things were happening with everything going on in the world today. Do you still think the American dream exists?
Oh, 100%. You got to put the political climate is always polluted. Even when I came here, that's why I changed my name, because when I came to this country, it was in early 1980s, and Iran was like the worst country you would imagine to American eyes, because of the hostage situation and all that. So that's why I changed my name and, to Kevin, because I just didn't want to simulate and I didn't want to get a negative feedback from people, but just assuming my name is something different. So have a prejudice against my name. It's always like that. You have to navigate through the noise.
love
You
that.
have to. There's always going to be too much turbulence and. Well, we're at the peak of it right now. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anything so politically polarized country at this point. I don't think I've ever seen it this far, but there's always been some sort of tension, especially me personally, when it was in 1980s with the hostage situation, and I came here in 1983. Boy, it was tough. I mean, just say I'm from Iran, they're just like they want to kick your butt, especially if you met somebody with just like low level education, they would not take it well with that. So what I did, I focused on what I want to do and look at the road that I want to take and kind of eliminate the noises. The same thing now, I tried not to focus on what's happening out there politically. I'm focusing my practice on my staff that are here. I want to make sure all of them are healthy. We're all have a positive focus to go to the next level. When you look at the positive of what's going to happen next level, the noises are going to cancel. So there's going to be always that. That's how I look at it. It's just from the war. When I was in the war, my commander in that heat and so much death and injuries, and I kept it positive. And he told me one day, he goes, "Man, you have such a good time with your friends here. You got to pay us to be here, not we pay you as a soldier to be here." So that's how I look at it. Even I was in the worst, and I don't think there's a worse situation than being in a war. I kept it positive. I said, you know what? I'm just going to get out of here and find my way out of here. And I like to do medicine, so I'm going to find my way. We'll go through the life and find it.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about your phrase, navigating through the noise, because you've opened up to us today, and I thank you so much for it, because wow, my life is boring after hearing this. And I think a lot of our listeners are going to think that as well about themselves. But I feel like your whole life has been filled with chaos around you, but you've found a way to steady the ship and be so disciplined and focused on what you were doing that you haven't allowed that noise that you talk about to influence your life. Has there been a time where any anxiety or mental health has played a factor in your life?
Oh, yeah. So this is what happened. So when I was in the war, I was exposed to loud noises, and I lost 70% of my hearing during the war. So when I came here, during my junior college, when I was at Alameda, I could wiggle through it. But when I went to the University of California at Berkeley, you're talking about like you're competing with people at this level.
Yeah.
And I went to school, and the classes were like 1,200, 1,000 class, 1,000 students in a class, and you're like a little peanut in the corner.
Yeah.
And I realized that I can't understand what is going on, and I started self-doubting myself and became very depressed. And I just went and saw a shrink. He goes, "No, it doesn't seem you have a psychological issue. Find out something else." And then I went, and she sent me to get tested, and I found that I have 70% hearing loss on both sides. And I'm trying to learn the language and try to thrive. That was like I was going through very downturn. I said, now I got here, but I can't go forward because I don't understand what the hell is going on here. But I navigate through that too. Once I found out what the problem was, I learned to, do more of a different way of approach to learn.
Wow. And I've got one more question before we move on to the fun part of this evening. I'll let George sort of take over.
Are you saying we haven't had fun?
No, we're having lots of fun.
That was
no, but the more lighthearted fun maybe. But you meet your 19-year-old self today, that young boy who was about to go into the war. and be a medic. What piece of advice would you give your young self today if you were to meet him?
So the advice that I would have given to that young
Yourself.
Yeah.
As an
I
18-year-old.
would say, so to take care of myself, physical body, better than what I did before. Because I used to smoke cigarette back then. You were in military, just nervous, and we smoked all day. So that's one advice that I never took seriously, to take care of myself. And I continued smoking until I got to undergraduate school and so forth. But one thing that I regret, and I thought I was purposely harming my body, was smoking. So that I'm glad that's behind me, and now I try to take care of myself, eat well, do exercise, and honestly, I feel physically stronger than I was when I was 19.
Wow. I like that. All right. I'm excited to get to this part of the interview because it's lighthearted and fun. They're the quick fire questions. But
Okay,
I feel like I could talk to you all night, and I hope that this is just the first of many conversations we have, because as cheesy as it sounds, you're inspiring, I'm glad that you were on our show today, because you're
Thank
truly
you so much.
for many people that are listening.
We need a part 2 and a part 3, I think.
I think so.
It's not a Game of Thrones or anything.
Oh, wow. Well, we can make it one.
You're season 6.
That's it. All right. Well, let's do the quick fire questions. Let's lighten things up a bit here. Tell me, since you are a Fashion Nova, what's your favorite thing in your closet right now?
My shoes.
Which pair?
I have Italian shoes that I went to Italy, and I got it from a little boutique Italian shoemaker.
Love that. What's your guilty food pleasure?
Ice cream.
Ice cream. Sour candy?
Gelato, by the way.
Gelato.
Hey, Italian.
Okay. What flavor?
I like hazelnut and pistachio.
Okay. If you could be from any other decade or era, which would you be?
I think I would be 50s, because I thought they were cool, and 40s, but 40s and 50s, the way they dressed, and they were different. Now everything is cash. Back then we were like dressed to the T and just go to the restaurant. Yeah.
3-piece suit for the diner back then. I love
That's right.
If you had a superpower, what would it be?
I'll be a Superman.
And
like strong and lifting heavy stuff.
if you do you prefer texting or talking?
Talking. Although I do a lot of texting, but with my close friend, I like to talk. But the rest is more of text.
So you'll talk to me and text Nathan. I got it.
We'll see.
Any tattoos?
No, I'm not a tattoo person, but I'm not against it. But I'm not a tattoo person.
Your French fries or potato chips?
I would say French fries.
Weights or cardio?
Cardio.
Rome or Milan?
Milan.
Milan. Wow, I'm a Rome guy.
I'm a Rome guy too.
Yeah.
Florence or Milan?
Florence.
Okay. You're going to the fashion event of the year. Which Italian designer is dressing you?
Cavalli.
Good choice. Your dream vacation spot that you haven't been to yet?
Ooh, at Machu Picchu.
Oh yeah. I've been there. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I was supposed to go in April, but I got bombed out.
Yeah.
And you get to have dinner with God, whoever God may be, and you get to ask one question. What would you ask?
Is there any afterlife?
Good question.
That is a good question.
Right? And the last question of the night for me, because Nathan's going to ask you a couple more questions. You got to go to Machu Picchu with one of the two of us. You pick me or Nathan.
Oh my God. Well, I think he's the cardio guy. He's gonna do a lot of hiking. I'll take you to Punta Mita so we can have some seafood at the restaurant and eating. And you're a party guy. I think you can drink and eat some barbecue. No, really? Oh, drinking is him.
He's the drinker. I'm the eater and the shopper.
Oh, that's good. Well, I can hang out with both of you guys.
Exactly. Well, we could have some fun on the Peloton after this. I was actually on the Peloton tonight. We'll have to compare some scores. But
all right.
But we always have to end the show because we're called Skinterviews. We end it on. I've got two questions for you. What's your current skincare routine?
So I have morning and evening. First of all, I didn't believe in skincare. I thought it was a hocus pocus like 10 years ago because they were really not good. They were more of a lotion than skincare to manifest any results.
Right.
So the technology has developed, and now newer technology skincare products, you really see the result. I'm 57 years young. And, by using a skincare product, it helped me to define my wrinkles and kind of eliminate a lot of it. So in the morning, after shower, I put under eye cream. After shaving, I put skincare product from Skin Better, which is amazing. And then there's Definage. They have neck cream that I put in there to tighten my neck. And so there's different regimen. I'm trying not to make it complicated, but it's quite simple. Just once you make it routine, it becomes simple.
Habit.
Awesome, yeah. And who would you like us to interview next on the show?
Ooh, I know you had Jason Emmer.
We did.
I was going to suggest him, but you already had. You know what? Interview Dr. Anthony Corrado. He's a buddy of mine that we used to hang out in Philadelphia, and we had a good time. And he will be good. And also Dr. Ali Tarani. He is a character. You want him too.
Okay, we'll email you and get their contacts off you, and we'll try and make it happen for in the next few weeks. But before I hand you over to George, I just want to say a huge thank you, like for you to open up and go so deep into your life. It was honestly a pleasure. And like I said before, we need to do a part 2 and 3 because I really feel like we only just peeled back one layer of the onion. There's so many more layers for us to peel off to find out more about you. But thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And before we go, I want to announce that we expanded our business and we're bringing another doctor, as a female doctor. I'm excited to bring her on board, Dr. Whitney Florin. And she's a gem, and I'm excited. She's going to do body work here, so she can do breast and tummy tuck. And just want to let you know.
That's awesome.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So I'm honored that you guys chose me to be on your program and taking your time to interview me. It was really fun. You guys are so much fun.
Before you go, I want you to stay backstage so we can say goodnight properly, but I want to say a quick thank you as well. Your story is truly inspiring, and like Nathan said, I wish we had more time to peel more layers of that onion back, because I think your story is similar to many, but what you've done so well is what you said. You navigated through the noise and you created your own path. So thank you, because I know you had a busy night and you've been here a while, and I don't want to keep you backstage too long, but I want to say goodnight properly. Thank you for being on Skinterviews. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to a quick message from our sponsor. always make sure you follow our doctors online. You can get on Instagram at Dr. Kevin Sadati. Of course, you can find him on Facebook and LinkedIn, Dr. Kevin Sadati. Not very difficult. Check out galleryofcosmeticsurgery.com and drkevinsadati.com. Obviously, we heard great news. The business is expanding. There's a new doctor coming into the mix. More treatments, more quality service, same team, but better. Let's go to a message from our sponsors, and I'll be right back to say goodnight to you, and then I'll see you, Dr. Sadati, backstage.
Thank you.
Big shout out and a massive thank you to Fullscript, our season 2 sponsors. I want to take a minute and reflect on not just this interview, but our interviews in the last few weeks. You know, there's so many common themes between all of the success stories. But tonight's really touched something with me, probably because I can relate to it for my own family. And that is one thing that Skinterviews is meant to do. It's meant to take the people that we only hear about them professionally, their professional achievements, whether they're successful, how much money they made, you know, how to do this technique, how to do that technique, what filler to put here, what filler to put there. We forget that there is a person behind that story. And we forget that the story is so much more important than just where they are and what they've achieved. One cannot have value without the other. And that story tonight of determination, the lessons from his parents about honesty and loyalty, things that resonate with all of us and should resonate with all of us. And the discussion that we touched on very lightly about being in a place of being divisive, if I said that correctly. We're divided. We're very divided. You know, we're either this way or that way, and we both can't agree to disagree, or we can't, you know, look at each other and say, fine, you know, I don't like your decision, but I respect and love you. Navigate through the noise. I absolutely love that. And another piece of advice I'm going to take wholeheartedly tonight is to take care of your physical body, because it's the only one you have, unless you visit one of our surgeons, of course, and then maybe you can get a new one. But that's a whole other topic. Ladies and gentlemen, navigate through the noise. Thank you for watching. I really hope that many of you stay and listen and watch the entire episode, because there's so many great stories that have come up in season 2, and you can catch them all by visiting therevenuedoctors.com. Pick the one you want to see, pick them all, listen to them, move on, go to season 1, listen to them, next thing again, and always check back with us on Instagram at skin.terviews to see who's coming up next and what we have going on. Of course, we've launched Skinterviews on Location, which is a whole new segment of this. And we also have the Business Skin Insider that's coming out, where we talk from business to business about the way we navigate through our industry and our success stories. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being a part of Skinterviews. And I hope that you truly do navigate through the noise and you make your own path, like our success story tonight. Have a wonderful day, evening, and night. Take care.